Mm.
Yeah,
Yes, you
retweet.
can retweet.
That works. As long as it's on the Hiveworks one, we're good. Hey, Mildred's on! Yay! I think.
I'll put on my
Mildred?
Tumblr. I'm just going to copy and paste what Megan said and put it on Tumblr.
That's
Oh,
right. Everybody do what I say.
Yeah. Well,
yes, and listen to Megan. She's great. So I guess we're live, so I'll start this off officially. So welcome everyone to this panel of ComfyCon. This is the sort of Hiveworks theme panel where we talk about webcomics in general, specifically about stuff that you should need to know if you're thinking of starting a webcomic so you don't regret it a month later. Among the chat right now, we have Joseph Stillwell, the founder and main administrator of Hiveworks, Isabelle Melançon, who is the co-creator of Namesake and the other administrator of Hiveworks, and me. We've got Megan Lavey-Heaton, who is the other co-creator of Namesake. We've got Mildred Lewis of Agents.
Great.
Mildred.
I guess.
And we've got Katie Feroduk that does Blind Springs, and eventually we have Misha Krivanek, who's going to join in, who does Alice in the Nightmares, but she seems to be a little offline at the moment. So the audio is a bit choppy. We're sorry about that because it sort of depends on the individual mics we have, but we'll try to keep the discussion lively nonetheless. So hi everyone, how's it going?
Hey.
Good morning.
Ungodly, stupidly early morning.
I cannot believe you West Coast people are awake.
Me neither.
It's a miracle. Oh boy, I went to bed too late too, so honestly, I'm surprised I'm awake. Thankfully, I'm a very high functioning tired person. So, starting webcomics. Here we actually have two people that started really recently. Like Katie started a year ago, and Mildred as well. So, how's been the experience to work on the comic for about a year? How was that?
So me,
Yeah.
pretty good. Like definitely have some struggles with getting everything done, juggling things. But yeah, no, it's been really good, and I really enjoy working on my story and all that kind of stuff. So pretty good times.
Yeah, it's been pretty good for me.
Does it?
It's been a learning process.
I remember my first year. It was a while ago. Megan, do you remember that? It's just like, oh, far ago in the
Yes,
ages
our
when we
first year
started.
complete. Yes, our first year was completely you going, Megan, we're sucking, and me going, no, we're not sucking.
Oh, that I remember that. Maybe. No, I remember. I'm tend the negative one. I remember feeling like everything sucked and totally not wanting to continue. I guess that's a feeling that comes back a lot in the first year. Oh, Misha's here twice. Two Mishas.
I invited her twice. Let me kick one of her out.
Yeah.
Misha, I'm kicking one of you out.
Make sure to kick out the one that has the
Goodbye.
gun. All right.
Goodbye, multiple Misha.
Hello.
Yeah, only one Misha left.
Yep.
So
There's
Misha
only
Krivanek, that's Alice in Nightmares, just joined in. Yay! Hi,
Hey.
Misha.
Hello.
So, you're like the whole idea that, you know, after the first year, how someone feels after working on the comic. Yours is a special case because you went on hiatus for a bit and now you're restarting. So how's that going?
Well, it's definitely a special case. I don't really know what to say about it other than it was pretty essential to the story and stuff, and Issa, you actually helped out so freaking much. Like, I can't thank you enough, and I just have to turn off Skype notifications because those are popping up. But just I'm really happy about where the story is now, and I'm super excited to be really working on it and to get it back up again, which is it's starting up again Valentine's Day because I want to create more of a buffer, and also because Valentine's Day is full of pink hearts, and I'm all about pink hearts, so I'm really excited.
So, among everybody's here, from the experiences that you had, what would you recommend is the thing to really prepare before you start a comic so you don't regret it a month later?
Know where you're going, because I actually started Blind Springs in 2009 and got 3 pages in and then was like, I don't know what's happening in this comic. So I quit.
Well,
It took me 5 years to actually know what I was doing. But even then, I get to end of chapter 1 and I'm like, I don't know. So make sure you like plan what's going to happen.
when you say like plan excessively or just like the large?
Well, not excessively, but like don't, because in my case, I focused a lot on like what happens in the first chapter. So I knew like everything that happens in the first chapter. And you get to chapter 2, and you're like, wait, I haven't been planning chapter 2 as heavily as I planned chapter 1. And that became a huge problem, and I ran out of all my buffer in a very short period of time. So don't do that. Look at your story equally, not just one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to obsess on the first chapter because it's often the one that, you're thinking about on the bus when you're going to work. You redraw it a bunch of times. You keep thinking like, oh, so-and-so should meet like this. It would be adorable. It's like that chapter that you sort of rehash in your head a lot. And that a lot of people obsess over because it's a good way to avoid actually really starting. Like, the first chapter has to be perfect, and then the rest doesn't matter as much until you get there. And then you're like, oh, crap.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Mildred? How's your relationship with the first chapter?
I mean, it was actually pretty good. It went way better than I was expecting. I think I was thinking it was gonna probably crash and burn at some point because it was just really intense that first time. But like once you got through it, it felt like really good, and I was like, yeah, I can take everything on from then on. So it was a good experience so far. Yeah.
All the monsters. Did you plan your chapters out equally, or did you concentrate a lot on the first one like Katie did?
Yeah, I actually made myself do NaNoWriMo last year, and so I like outlined basically as much of the entire story as I could, and that helped a lot. Because it's been helping me have a good idea of where it's actually going to go, even if things change every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you basically really planned everything out mostly.
Yeah.
You know where you're going, and it's making
basically. Yeah.
positive.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Misha, like I said, because you had the hiatus and the reboot, you had your first chapter be a certain version, and now you have something that's completely different.
Yeah, I don't know how people are going to react to that, but I hope that they're supportive and positive about it, because, yeah, looking over, like, even when I was writing the first chapter, I was like, this isn't the best, but it'll get better, I hope, and now it's getting to something that I'm actually happy with, so...
But if you look at it, manga and mainstream comics, they reboot all the time. Look at DC, and they just had the New 52, which was a giant reboot. But look at manga too; you'll have 3 or 4 resets
even in
within a medium. Yeah,
the first one is often a pitch. It's not even a real chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go into the Rurouni Kenshin graphic novels, you'll see the original pitch for Kenshin, which was just the 1-chapter one-shot.
It was kind of bad, too, where he's, like, saving this random chick, and she's like, how dare you save me? And then he's like, well, screw you. Next time I'm getting by wolves, I don't care.
It's one of those things where you can tell it was almost but not quite there. And so I think he actually went through 2 different versions of that, and both of those are in the manga, and it's a great way to go and see an evolution of an artist's work. And so you don't have to exactly nail it right on the first try. If you want to keep using the same idea and try it again, that's the beauty of the internet. Try it again.
Yeah.
Definitely. The internet is very organic for that. You can totally just try again and try again. Well, not too much, because then you have to also get somewhere, but
Mm-hmm.
there's
Well, I
definitely
mean,
a lot of...
Well, like, look at Dave Willis, and, you know, he's used the same cast of characters largely since, what, the 90s? And he's just rebooted them, I think, 3 times now.
Oh, yeah, he did
And
do
it
that.
works.
Yeah. But they feel like different people every time, but not. It's kind of interesting. Sort of reminds me of how Osamu Tezuka, the guy who did Astro Boy, had this cast of characters he would reuse all the time. He considered actors. He even made actor sheets for all his characters. And he'd be like, this guy always plays the bad guy or the regularly handsome guy. And every time he would do a series, he'd just reuse the same designs with a couple of exceptions like Phoenix. But most of the time, he'd just have his cast of actors. And Clamp actually tried to do that with Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles as well, but not as efficiently as Tezuka did. But he had this idea of always the same characters, different stories. He had his set of actors. I guess you save on character design that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I have a big nose villain. He's right here. He played so many big nose villains. I'm gonna toss him in there. Yeah. So aside from really planning out the story, what would you recommend people really visit when they're like planning a first story, planning a first comic, planning to launch a comic, in your opinion?
Designs. Like, know who your characters are, know what makes them appealing, know what makes them different from each other. That's going to also help you a lot. Definitely save you.
I like to recommend people, like, if you're working on a project that you've had for like multiple years and you're like, oh my god, I'm stressing out because you want it to be like the best it can possibly be, I have been recommending to people to do, like, you know, shorter comics to kind of figure out like all the different things that you have to kind of learn to do a comic. Because if you started with your own comic, you get the point where you want to redo it and you want to, you know, start over again because you're like, I have learned so much since the beginning. And, you know, sometimes you don't want to restart. You want to just keep going.
Yeah. I think
For
that's...
you and me, well, for you and me, Issa, what helped is that we both brought in our existing fandoms because both of us were known for our fan works. And so the people that were interested in our fan works also came and checked out our comic.
That's true, but at the same time, you can't count on that too much, especially
You
if your
can't
fan works
count
are
on
really
that, but it's good practice in telling a story.
Oh, and
Or at
that's...
least it was for
yes.
me.
I thought you meant like it brings in readers. I'm like, not necessarily, but for practice a story, yeah, doing fandom stuff.
Oh,
Definitely.
yeah, totally. And I'm not
So-
saying like do like a huge comic, but like before I did Blind Springs, I did an anthology, and that's where I learned how to do like. Sorry.
You blanked out.
Oh no. Am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. I did an anthology before I did Blind Springs, and so how I do Blind Springs is not that far off from how I did the first comic I did, which thank goodness I did that comic because I learned don't do some things.
I did do a couple comics before I actually did Namesake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also like Megan was saying, because of fandom stuff, we actually met on LiveJournal, and she was writing fanfic, and I was trying to do this thing where every day I would post a comic, like a one-pager.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's either a joke or something about my life, but because it's about my life, it's usually jokes. Like, oh, but LOL. So I just had this thing where I just posted one of those every day, and I guess it was pretty good practice. It definitely taught me timing, because when you only have a page and you don't want to do more than a page because you're like, I have to draw one of these every day, it definitely teaches you to use your page properly.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually a good test. But at the same time, it was sort of this idea I got from the French Blog BD, which is a bunch of creators that have these blogs where that's what they do. Every 2 days or so, they posted a page. And most of those are dead now, actually, now that I think about it. Aside from the Boulet one, they're all gone.
Wow.
So many people were doing that, and it was really interesting.
Like, do you mean they're dead as in like they physically died, or do you mean dead as in they don't do it anymore? Because I took it as they're actually dead.
Yeah, that's what
No, that blog is dead. It's gone. Like it's off the internet
Okay,
right
I
now.
thought you meant like they had passed away. Like comic artists are all expired.
No, I did
Like-
murder
like,
a bunch of creators, if that's what you're asking. Just killed them and hide the
I went a
bodies.
little morbid.
Oh, Megan, I think you have to reinvite Misha.
Oh,
Again.
hang on.
Bunch of doppelganger Mishas. Oh, so that's
Nope,
interesting.
nope.
Definitely practice first.
Mm-hmm.
But a bunch of you are animators, actually, Katie and Mildred and Misha. So
Yeah.
I guess when you're preparing stuff, you prepare it like animators do, with a bunch of turnarounds and designs and.
Yeah, I actually didn't do turnarounds. I thought I was going to, and I was like,
What? How lazy! How dare you?
I know.
You didn't do turnarounds?
My
I'm
teacher.
disappointed.
I tried to, and then I just kind of copped out and was like, no, this is a lot of work. So, a lot of me, like,
Okay, hopefully we only have one Misha this time.
yeah.
Only a single Misha.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
No, it's just like I just got to the point where I was like, no, I'm not gonna do these. So I've just been kind of learning to draw my characters as I go, and just letting myself be okay with them not being on model all the time.
I'm actually really amazed by the character design work that you, Katie, and Misha have put out, because I follow you guys and you're my friends, so we talk sometimes. And I noticed that all the stuff you post online is so, especially Katie, is so worked. Whereas I didn't even bother to do a character sheet at all when I started Name. Like, I just referenced old pages to figure out how I was drawing so and so, and sometimes completely drew them wrong. So I think it's nice that we have a couple of animators that do comics now, because there's all this work that usually goes for movies that like exists in webcomics now. But do you think there's certain difficulties from passing on from being an animator to
sounds
being
like a
a comic
robot.
artist? I'm sorry. Bloop bloop. Programming.
Yes. So there are some like problems if you're.
There we go.
He said you're having really bad problems.
I am? Let me just turn off my mic and turn it back on.
Okay.
Does this help?
I'm answering the one person's question. She wanted to know who all of us are, so I'm trying to.
Oh god.
This-
Oh my gosh, there's a chat. I forgot.
The cat's
do
not
an
on here right now. The
introduction.
cat's asleep over here.
Do I still sound like a robot?
No,
It's a
You're
bit
fine.
better.
you're better.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mic is really shitty. I should
You've been
invest
saying
money
this
in
for the past year. We should buy you a new one.
Yes, I know. Every time you talk to me, I'm like, I'm sorry, I sound like a demonic robot. I sound like Ultron.
Look, even I finally bought the new microphone.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal it next time I go to your house.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Anyways, kids asking, do you think there's certain difficulties that come from passing on from the animation world and the animation mindset to the comic mindset and stuff like that?
For me, it's helped a lot, but it's also made it complicated because I feel like I need to draw literally everything. Because I'm so used to like breaking everything down to frame. So it's been a learning process of trying to figure out like how much to show and what not to show for me.
What's important actions, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's making like for me, I've been changing it to be like, okay, these are more like beat boards than like storyboards for an animatic, and so I need to show every single motion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have the same problem too.
For me, it's more of the planning stages, because personally, I like to plan out everything, because that's just how I am. But with comics, it's definitely more of like, I don't know, think on your feet-ish, I have to say. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with this.
I will say, like, at least for me, it's been a boon to kind of, I mean, not as, I never really was very good at animation. I've taken it, but terrible. But through the comic, I am now working in animation, so it's kind of backwards, but I'm a layout designer, so you can see the focus on backgrounds in my comic.
Yeah, there's that, definitely.
So I do that every day.
I still think it's interesting because you guys still come from that background, and it amazes me because I come from a background that is kind of the opposite of you guys. Because first of all, I freaking painted comics. Like I literally used brushes before, and I had no formal training, and I don't know animation, and I don't even know how to draw digital yet. So when I see all the stuff that you guys develop, I'm like, ah, this is so cool. I can't even do half that stuff. I really like it.
I think for me, the biggest part, and it's something I still struggle with, is writing's a lot like animation, where you do have to describe everything. You have to describe what's going on in their heads. You have to describe the world around you. And the biggest thing that Issa has taught me, coming from her visual arts background, is the art of the silent panel, or making sure that things that you're actually expressing through their art, and you don't have to tell every little thing. And now we're to the point in our comic where I'm sitting here going, this is too wordy, and we'll cut back.
Yeah, you just pile it on. It's the elusive beat panel. I personally I love the beat panel. I love using it. I love having that little silent moment where a character's just like, all right, whatever you say. But it's true that it's sorry, those are really fun. It's true that it's that I didn't think about that, but passing from writing something that is basically a novel to writing something that's a comic definitely has a lot of cutting, which I guess is the same when you're passing from a very animation-is mindset to a page, because those are annoyingly short, aren't they? Pages they can only contain so much, and they still have to say a lot.
But I find it easier to write too much, and this is pretty much namesake right here. You write way too much, and you don't use it all, and you use parts, and you cobble together different parts to create one cohesive whole. So you have more than enough material, but it's easier to cut than it is to add more.
I remember one of the pages that we're going to post like in 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
The text you gave like 2 paragraphs is like blah 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 tragedy, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a big pretty drawing and put 2 boxes.
Or there's an entire scene of dialogue where it's largely the dialogue, but it was assigned to one character, but then Issa went, oh, well, this works better with the other character. And I went, oh, yeah, you're right, it really does. So it's interesting how things morph. And that's the biggest lesson I've had to learn is that there's a lot of revision, and you don't get it right the first time. I used to feel like that if I got stuff wrong or we changed stuff, I used to feel like I was a horrible writer and I was absolutely worthless to this project. I should just, go jump off the bottom stair onto the floor.
I've seen bottom stair. You wouldn't jump from very high, but
yeah, I'm
no
clumsy.
suicide risk.
I would trip going up the stair to go jump off it.
Okay. Next topic to sort of throw this back out. What would everybody say is their biggest influence as a comic or a book on their story?
That's a lot. Well,
everybody's
obviously
like,
Alice.
no! Not that question.
Well, I feel like it's probably obvious for mine. I don't exactly hide that I
Oh,
was
you mean it
clearly
might be
intensely
Magical
inspired
Girl?
by
Are you
Sailor Moon.
sure?
Yeah, magical girls all the way.
It might be Sailor Moon.
I know. Maybe.
Maybe.
It
I'm noticing some similarities. Are you sure it's not Ranma? Because, it seems closer.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely flipped sipped on like the Sailor Moon Kool-Aid for this one. I have no regrets because it's made it so much fun.
Oh, that's
Crystal came out perfect timing for you.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like I think I actually started. Oh yeah, I think I actually started posting online like the same weekend of it or something, like when it first premiered. So that was cool.
Well, your characters are more on model than Crystal, so that's good.
Oh,
That one hand.
yeah.
Ooh, sometimes it hurts to watch. I still love Crystal, but sometimes, oh boy, you feel like the eyeball
I
slide
still
off the
up on
face.
that.
Yeah, I have to be in like a really forgiving mood to watch it sometimes.
It's pretty, but you're kind of like, why? A little bit of budget here, that would have been great.
It only
Yeah.
took them 3 years to put it out. I don't know why they couldn't have found the budget.
I think
3
maybe they should just found another style. I like that they quote the book, but it's honestly not looking too good as an
2 years.
animation.
Sorry, 2 years, not 3 years. Still, a long enough time for them to find some yin in the couch cushions.
Hmm. To be honest, the toy couch cushions are probably yen dry. They probably get searched quite often.
Yeah.
So, let's pass on to someone else. Misha, what would you say is your biggest like novel slash comic influence?
Well, for Alice in the Nightmare, that should be pretty obvious.
No, but
Alice
like
in
aside from Alice, come on.
But oh, there's a lot. Gosh, just old animation movies that I watched as a kid growing up, and like mostly Studio Ghibli, where there's cute girls and cool magical adventures and coming of age stories and just all sorts of things like that, and just kids going on magical adventures. That's what I like to write about, and that's pretty much what Alice is, or yeah.
That's cute. I like that. How about you, Katie? I mean, aside from everything European ever printed.
Yeah, like I guess I don't know. It's hard to like condense it down, but like I guess a lot of animated movies, I definitely wanted it to look like concept art for animation. I mean, it doesn't really look like that anymore, but whatever. Um, but it's like I guess like Kiki's Delivery Service and Harry Potter and um, even like the Witch series from Terry Pratchett, I really really liked, and Bartimaeus trilogy. There's a bunch of them that are like similar to kind of what Blind Springs ended up being, but yeah, kind of like cuteness, but there's like dark political drama as well. Odd combo, but that's what I'm doing.
Dark political drama.
Yeah, with a
How
girl with
about you?
joy.
Um, well, other than the obvious for us, which is fairy tales and classic literature, a huge influence on my writing overall is Joe Michael Straczynski's Babylon 5.
Oh yeah, you say that a lot.
Yeah,
No.
he writes such a specifically layered story where he would just drop in these little gems, and you wouldn't realize that this one tiny character moment suddenly has an entire impact on the universe. I just love the way that he told such a rich story within 5 seasons of television, and I watched it right in a very influential part of my life. I was a teenager. And there's something about his writing that always struck me, that I mean, he writes okay comics, but Babylon 5 to me was his great work. I also liked Nobuhiro Watsuki. He did the same thing with Rurouni Kenshin. That was always intended to be just a few chapters long, and then the editors went, oh, well, you need to make it longer. So he had planted enough seeds to go back through and draw them back in there. And other influences on me, Rumiko Takahashi, her character building is just phenomenal. She comes up with so many unique characters and funny situations. I think somebody left a review on one of the early pages of Chapter 20 Namesake going, this is unfolding like a Rumiko Takahashi chapter. And yes, that is our Takahashi chapter.
Whoops.
And then the, I actually been greatly influenced by a romance novel writer, Nora Roberts. She also does fantastic characters and can sustain that character development over 40-something books. Her Index series is great.
Let's talk about actually something I really thought would be interesting, since you mentioned characters, is because the backbone of a webcomic is definitely just like any other story is the hero. But what's interesting about webcomics is that everybody here has, ladies as our heroes. But they're all very different ladies. So, why did you choose to make your hero that way? I think that would be an interesting topic to sort of go on. So, Megan, you start. Your hero, Emma, or our hero.
Our hero, Emma.
Yes.
Well, Emma was always more... She always came more from your mind, really.
Yeah, I guess she kind of did. So I guess I should answer questions instead of asking them for a little bit.
Yes, okay, Issa, why don't you tell us about Emma?
Okay. Emma is the person I wish I was, but I'm totally not. She's really strong, really competent, and sort of... She's got a lot of bad qualities, though. She's extremely, jealous and vindictive and kind of petty when she wants to be. But she's still the type of person I wish I was, because she's the type of person that's in a weird situation and she's like, well, that's different, and just sort of goes on and helps people around her that need help, whereas if I was in the same situation, I'd probably be a puddle of panic on the corner, sort of going like, oh my god. Well, maybe not. I've never been transported to another world, so I don't know. I guess the idea when I created a hero was to create someone who was really relatable and extraordinary without being, distant. I wanted to create someone that you could look up to, someone that makes you feel validated without feeling like it's someone that should exist. Oh, someone's getting kisses.
Sorry. It's okay.
That's okay. My boyfriend.
Sorry.
I got a chocolatin while you guys weren't looking. Look at this. Mm.
Oh, nice.
Be jealous of my
Everybody
awesome.
proposing the panel to go up to Canada and stealing Issa's food.
Yeah, it's big too. Look at this thing.
Oh my god.
I think that's something we do keep in mind when writing Emma is I'm not afraid to let Emma have flaws. There's been some pages. There was one page in the last chapter where I looked at you and went, damn you, Emma. I don't like you right now, but I know I'm going to love you in 2 pages. But she's being
So petty.
We wanted to show a hero that was flawed, but not in the way that you had in the Harry Potter series, where Harry was just kind of normal, caps lock.
Yeah, he was going for a hormonal growth or something.
And we didn't want to go through those extremes. We also went with an older hero. We didn't want to go with the typical teenage hero. We wanted to have somebody with some life experience.
We're a bit long in the tooth to write teenage heroes, I think.
Thanks. Thank you, Issa. I'm really coming up and stealing this.
I'm old too. Okay. I'm also old. Okay. Hey, Katie, how about you tell us about Tammy?
Okay, so kind of completely opposite. uh, Tammy's kind of like, I wanted to create a princess that wasn't that was like the opposite of what Disney usually does with their princesses. And like I posted it on Tumblr a while ago. People took that as like gamification, like I'm gonna make everything dark, which true, but not what I was trying to say, which was that like a lot of the Disney princesses, they are kind of terrible princesses. They are headstrong. They, they have these like goals and they have dreams that are, outside of what their role and job is. And so Tammy is what would be considered a perfect princess. She listens, she obeys, she does what she's told to, and she doesn't really question anything. And so she's put into a situation where she does have to question things, and so far hasn't really. She's just kind of being pulled along the story, and the story is going to make her have to make those decisions. So, yeah, she's a young kid, so I'm writing a younger character. Yeah, but it's definitely more like what will happen to Tammy rather than who Tammy is now. If that makes
Tammy
sense.
clash more with the modern, more emancipated characters. The other female characters, which are more like hands-on, action-based, and where she's
Yeah,
more, like you said, like a typical princess. I look forward to like clashes that are gonna come from that.
yeah, and there's a lot that are coming up, so I'm excited.
All right, Mish, tell us about Alice.
Right. All right. With the well, she's always been this sort of. She's always been a nice character. I don't like nice in the typical polite way because she is based on Carol's Alice, and I have a copy of the annotated Alice, which has actually helped a lot in my story writing process. And there's like a whole sort of little paragraph that talks about Alice's character, and that definitely I added that into my own Alice, and she is courteous and polite, but with the old story, she was a lot more vibrant per se. I don't know if that's the right word, but more like very into life and into books and just very into people as well, I guess. But with the rewrite, she's a lot more quiet and calm, but that will change as the story goes on. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens to her, and I'm really excited for that. And she's a character that I've had for a really long time, and she's definitely grown and changed over all the years. And yeah, I don't know how to end question answers, but yeah, she's definitely one of my favorites to think and write about, and I really enjoyed drawing and writing about her. And now that she has freckles, she's about 10 times more cuter. So,
Oh yeah, the freckles are definitely adorable. So Mildred, tell us about Nora. Is Nora the main character really, or is it somebody else? Like,
I mean,
it's a group, so
yeah, it's definitely a cast-based story. So I mean, there's 5 girls total that the story's gonna be centered around, but Nora so far has been kind of our guide into the world, and I mean, a lot of it just really boils down to me wanting to write young women into a story that I've seen and enjoyed so many times, but hasn't really reflected me or a lot of people that I knew.
yeah, that's a certain issue.
Yeah.
Traditionally, with magical girls, the central character is usually the one that has an emotional tie with all the other characters, and that sort of brings them around. Are you going to explore that route, sort of break it, go with it?
No, I mean, it's been like an experiment for me that I've been really enjoying because I have been kind of trying to go with that whole idea and also a different take on it, obviously. So I don't have a main character like Usagi who is like, everyone is my friend. I need everyone to be my friend. I like everyone. And instead I have a main character who is really apprehensive and most of the time would keep her interactions to a minimum, like, get what needs done, and then kind of move on.
Most
So I really,
antisocial magical girl ever.
yeah, yeah, she's not the best with people. But for her especially, I really kind of want to explore this opportunity to show that, um, kind of like the importance of close relationships and the kind of strength you can get from it, even if you don't think you're going to. Because just from like my own personal experiences, all my friends have been people that I didn't expect it at first, but then they turn out to be these amazing, wonderful people that I would never exchange anyone for. So I kind of want to do that with this story too.
Oh, that's adorable. Okay, so this will be the final question because I think it's going to be a long one. But I think it's an important question to answer, especially in the world of webcomics. In the world of traditional printed media, both in youth like books and adult books, and I know this because I read so many books all the time. I used to read books to test for schools, and the thing is, usually when you have a female main character, by default, a romance has to blossom in the story. It's practically an unavoidable staple. So, the thing about webcomics, though, is that since you're sort of outside of the mold, you can decide to not necessarily follow that staple. But some people do anyways because they want to pass messages about maybe the way that idea is actually used in print media. So everybody, romance vis-a-vis your character, how do you want to explain? Do you just want it to not exist? Opinions, thoughts, critiques, anything. Let's start with Katie. Actually, I'm sure she's got a lot to say on that subject.
Kind of in the middle of the last sentence, you said you kind of were Daft Punk. Do you mind repeating the last sentence?
Oh, I went Daft Punk. All right.
Yeah, you went like up in like a robot tone. It was great.
Feelings and robots. I shut off again. This should be better.
Okay.
I promise. So like I was saying, usually in like youth books and like even adult books, if you have female characters, you're sort of almost obligated to have a romance in the print media. They practically demand that you have it. I've rarely seen books where there isn't at least a little bit of flirting with like the hot guy that, I don't know, runs the stables. So how do you feel about romance in your own story vis-a-vis your character? Do you don't want it at all? Do you want it, but you want to sort of put it on his head? Do you want like just adorableness? Like, how do you feel about romance in the comic? Because it's a webcomic and it's outside the printed media, you're not obligated to have that. Like editors would impose it on you.
Right.
So feelings about romance and how to write it, and if you want it and if you hate it.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I was like, I heard like most of that before, but I didn't hear the rest of it. So, I mean, obviously, in my first chapter, I have two characters kiss, and that was definitely me trying to manipulate people's feelings a bit. Sorry.
So glad.
Yeah. So. Because it's inevitable that there's a girl and then there's a guy, and they could just like look at each other and like exist in the same plane of existence. Of course they're going to be together because that's how it works, guys. And I'm kind of sick and tired of it. Like, I don't walk on the street and just be like, I'm existing in the same physical place as this person, we're now dating. Like, that doesn't happen.
Let's bang.
I'm like, no. So I had a situation where I was just like, I'm going to go down all like the fairy tale kind of tropes and have the guy kiss the girl and then have him come back like 10 years later, and now that's super creepy and people still ship it, and I'm like, no. That's not happening. She's 12. That's actually a common occurrence in my comic because my characters are so young. A lot of people are shipping them with the other characters who are in their 20s, and I'm like, no, please stop. That's not happening. I mean, ship away, but that's kind of creepy. So yeah, I did choose to make them younger just because then I didn't have to deal with like, this is my one true love forever, and you're 12. Like, no.
I don't know. That's what they did with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
No.
Which
got
never
creepy
failed to
more.
creep me to no end, but
It got
It's like you know when you're younger and you have Barbies and you're just like, yes, kiss.
I don't
It's
know.
like
I
half the
beheaded
time
my
it's like,
Barbies.
even though my Barbies were more like, yes.
Misha, I think you got muted.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
let me save her. Saving Misha.
Quickly before she goes away. Oh, so
I didn't mute her. She muted herself.
so basically, Katie, when it comes to traditional romance, you're more on the nay side than the yay side.
I mean, I definitely, like, don't get me wrong, I read more romance manga than most people in their lives. I love it. I love romance. But at this point in the story, I don't want that to be the focus. Like, there's too much going on for, you know, cutesy 12-year-old romance to be happening. I mean, it will happen. Like, there'll be characters who, you know, have relationships and crushes and stuff like that. Like, that's a normal part of life for a lot of people. But it's also not a normal part of life for other people. So I want to kind of run the gamut on relationships. Like, in like 2 pages, when 2 characters are like canonically in a relationship, and they're not even like, ooh, we might like each other. It's like, no, they're in a relationship, guys. Stop shipping Tammy.
Bang, relationship. Mildred, that's going to be interesting for you because again, you're going after the magical girl genre. You kind of have this whole romantic recipe that is pre-designed with, you know, the motif. So you know how you going to approach that.
yeah, I've been avoiding that question.
Aha!
I've had so many people
Trapped now.
ask about it, and it's like I feel like once a week it's like, are there going to be relationships and romances? And I've been like,
But the power of love.
yeah. Because I guess for me, magical girl stories aren't about the romance. So I just don't want people to cling on to this idea that it's going to be the central part of the story. With that being said, there are going to be romances. They're just going to come way later. And that's part of why I've been really quiet about it, because I think there's about 3 canon relationships. The first one's been introduced already, but it's not even with the central reoccurring characters. But there are 2 of the girls in the group who do get romances eventually. And I don't plan on handling them traditionally at all.
Oh, that's great. Yay!
Yeah. Because I guess for me, as much as I love cheesy romance stuff, I also still want to get good, healthy representation out there about love and romances. Just because I think it's so easy to get caught up in this idea of like, these romances have to be obsessive and consuming and intense and overwhelming, and someone has to die or something.
Oh my God! Yes,
With magical girls.
angst.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like I just want that. So one of the romance.
It's going to be really interesting for you again because you're so much in the motif, and the motif has so much romance tied to it that you're basically going to be playing rope with a bunch of tropes.
I know. I mean, the romances aren't the central part of the story. They're kind of just a part of these characters' lives, because sometimes when you're in college, you start dating someone you like. That's just what happens. But not everyone gets a romance, because not everyone's looking for a relationship. Some people are just looking to have that person for a minute and be done with. That's also something that happens. So it'll be interesting.
I'm looking for a man that can use the table. Yes.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna switch persons because we're sort of running out of time. So, Misha, romance. What?
I feel like I'm going the exact opposite in like what you guys have been talking about in terms of romance, because I actually really like writing romance, and just two characters building a healthy relationship with one another is something that I really enjoy writing and, just thinking about in terms of like cute situations, because I live for cute, fluffy situation stuff. And
You're a romance junkie, basically.
oh yeah, really, and my own love life is not that great. So I make up for it in writing. Yeah, there is gonna be a lot of ships and romance in Alice because A, I like writing about that stuff, and B, it is a very coming of age and growing out of your parents sort of story, and finding people that you like and that you like hanging out with, and just and romance blossoms from that. But I don't want it to be as much like in your face as it possibly can be, but more organic, and it just sort of grows naturally between two people or a group of people. Anyway, I'm very fluid with ships. I just but yeah, it's I just like writing about that, and that's pretty much all there is to it.
Oh,
Yep.
that's pretty cute. So I guess a couple minutes left. Me and Megan are gonna bring it home. Megan, romance, yay or nay?
What can I say that won't get certain parts of our comic readers to kill us?
Totally. Everybody dies.
He dies. Sorry, Emma Warwick fans. Everyone dies.
Yeah.
Actually, everybody largely covered my views on romance. I think the way we've approached it with Namesake is that it's going to be there, but it's not the main story. The main story is Emma's namesake journey. And it's her story growing as a person, and Elaine's as well. And the relationships they have with other people, romantic and non-romantic, that definitely influences their journey, but it's not the whole point of the journey, and it shouldn't be, not for them.
I just have to make a pun, but Emma growing as a person, for reals, am I right?
That one's horrible, Issa.
I know, I'm a terrible person who shouldn't be writing comics.
It's been interesting seeing, because, I write fanfic still, and I understand how the mind of a shipper works, because I am a shipper. And
No, really? We weren't looking at your wall at all.
No, not really. There's nothing on my walls at all.
Nothing.
There. I definitely agree, though, that one of the things I do want to show in Namesake, and I'm trying to say this without spoiling things, which I guess it's not a spoiler. I want to show that romance doesn't end when the couple gets together.
I agree. We sort of agreed on that, is the idea that romance. I can't write romance that is not realistic.
Yeah.
I actually had a lot of fun because lately Katie introduced me to this manga that we're now both obsessed with. Thanks a lot, Katie.
You're welcome.
Which is called Horimiya, which is interesting because what's fun about it is that it's a manga with actual realistic romance, and again, that's why I like mangas like Bride Stories, which is this historical romance, because it's very real, it's very raw, and you can tell that the romance evolves because the characters evolve, and not because like suddenly you're a couple, mush, mush, mush. All right. Really...
I've always been a big fan of the friends first romance, because you need to have some sort of connection other than instant attraction, bing. And
but again, that also happens sometimes in real life. Sometimes
it does happen in real life, but those are the relationships that fall apart too.
Not necessarily, and there's some people that are like, ooh, I got the booty, and then 10 years later they're like, I got the husband or something.
Yeah. But I know for me in my life, you know, just because I've been married for 4.5 years doesn't mean the romance is no longer there, or we don't have the same type of romantic chemistry that we had before we got together. I think we have even more now. So there's something to be said that's incredibly sexy about people that have been together for years and not just know each other in and out.
Yeah, they use Nerf guns now.
I'm sorry?
You know, spice it up, use Nerf guns. I'm
Yes.
kidding.
Yes.
Making horrible, horrible at your expense.
Thank you, Asa.
No, but I get what you're saying. I've been in a relationship for over a decade now, and I'm definitely noticing this idea that in a lot of fiction, as soon as people pair up, it's like the story's over. Actually, often they pair up as the ending, sort of like the prize motif, which everybody hates here, right? Yes, everybody hates that. And it's this idea that like romance is a conclusion, is a prize rather than something that you build and profit from, something that makes you evolve.
That's my most hated trope.
Oh god, it's so bad.
Protagonists, and it's just like, you've won the war. Where's the boyfriend? Like, can't do it.
Or that scene in a movie where the guy is that Han Solo type of thing, like, I love you, I know. It's like, screw you.
Yeah.
And that scene is so iconic, but I at the same time, I really like Star Wars. Like, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a freaking Jedi on my spare time.
Mean, I will take Han Solo any day over the horrible romance in number 2. Where they're like, let's roll the grass for a whole minute.
Oh,
I forgot the first trilogy existed. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
I'm going to have Jar Jar Binks nightmares, and it's your trilogy.
At least it wasn't romance with Jar Jar Binks. We could have had it worse. Could have been worse.
We could have had that. Actually, I would have been really interested in seeing that. Like, Padme and Jar Jar Binks might have been a better movie.
I'm sure if you go to
fanfiction.net is there for that.
Misa Laki Kisa.
Oh god.
Your next project, Megan.
I'm going to go kill off one of our characters now, just to retaliate.
How about we bring this more towards comics?
Well, actually, we're pretty much
done now. Done, JoJo.
Yes, I didn't have much to add to this.
Sorry. Well, there's definitely one thing you can say that people need when they start a good comic is that you definitely need motivated creators, and as the person who takes care of Hiveworks, you certainly had a knack in getting a bunch of really good, motivated people.
Yeah, depressed people, sad people, unenergetic people aren't very good towards doing things.
Nope, you need super awesome ladies. Like these guys.
Hey.
So that's pretty much all the time we have. So again, thank you for everybody who tuned in. The people who are here are Katie Faraduck, who does Blind Springs, Megan Lavey-Heaton and Isabelle Melançon, who do Namesake, Michelle Grivenek, sorry.
Yep.
Who do Alice in the Nightmares, who is currently on hiatus but will be starting again in February. And finally, Mildred Lewis, who does Agents of the Realm, who is a super awesome magical girl thing. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for all the creators who gave us their time and their faces to totally talk about awesome, very mature things. And have a good ComfyCon, everybody. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, I'm stopping the broadcast, but it shouldn't turn off the video chat.